my hand. Come on, little stranger, the spirits are angry. Stay away from danger. This is insanity. This could be the end. This is insanity. Farewell, my friend. In the garden of serenity. 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 Meet me in the graveyard. We'll walk amongst the dead on a midnight odyssey.
All right, howdy, hi there, thrill seekers. And that was Garden of Serenity, because I'm going to talk to you today about something that comes from a book called The Book of Serenity. And don't say you don't get your money's worth with my videos. I suffer for my art. When I was doing that little music video, I banged my thumb when I was doing the Pete Townsend style whirlwind playing on the guitar. I ripped my thumb open. I'll show you the bloody finger there. Okay, whoa, there's still blood all over my pick. Look at that. Look at that. That is suffering for art's sake. All right. Oh, there's blood on the picnic table too. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so I wanted to talk to you, as I said, about something that comes from a book called The Book of Serenity and not The Garden of Serenity. But that was a Ramones song from Halfway to Sanity and called The Garden of Serenity. So this koan appears in a couple of koan collections, and it is, I believe, koan number 20 in the Book of Serenity, which I don't have, but I'll read you from the version that my correspondent sent me. And it goes like this. Master Jizo asked Hogen, where have you come from? I pilgrimage aimlessly, replied Hogen. What is the matter of your pilgrimage? Asked Jizo. I don't know, replied Hogen. Not knowing is the most intimate, replied Jizo. At that, Hogen experienced great enlightenment. And another version, very similar, appears as case number 71, book 2 in Master Dogen's Shinji Shobogenzo, translated by Gudo Nishijima, edited by Mike Lutchford and Jeremy Pearson. And it goes like this. It has, this one's slightly longer, has a little bit more background detail. Great Master Hogen of Seiryo in temple in Shoshu province once experienced a profound realization, and abandoning the many jobs in the temple, took his community traveling beyond the Lake District where they lived. I once did a retreat in the Lake District in England. Anyway, I don't think it was that Lake District. They had not gone far when they met with a heavy shower of rain. There goes Ziggy. Oh, there's a cat walking along the fence. And Ziggy just got excited and he barked at the cat. Anyway, they had not gone far when they met with a heavy shower of rain. We had a heavy shower of rain here last week. The river began to flood violently, and so they took shelter in Jizo-in temple in the west of the city. There they met old Master Rakan Keichin. Master Keichin asked them, Acharyas means monks, where are you going? Master Hogen said, Oh, we are traveling here and there. Master Keichin said, How is the traveling? Master Hogen said, I don't know. Master Keichin said, Not to know is just the most direct and familiar. Master Hogen then clearly arrived at the truth. And here is Nishijima Roshi's commentary. Master Hogen Bun-eki, in the course of his Buddhist practice, experienced something profound, so he abandoned all his trivial jobs and took his community of monks traveling. They stayed at Jizo Temple, where they met Master Rakan Keichin. Master Keichin chatted to Master Hogen and inquired how everything was going. Master Hogen could only reply, I don't know. Such discussions represent our real life. Even though Master Hogen was traveling with his students here and there, he could not recognize his aim. This situation in which a person does not clearly know their true aim is the real situation of Buddhist life. This is the meaning of Master Keichin's reply. Not knowing is often nearest to the truth of things. On hearing these words, which suggest that intellectual recognition sometimes misses reality, Master Hogen realized the true situation. And that's a nice commentary. I was actually helped out in this video by Muho, who is a guy who used to be the abbot of Antaiji Temple, and now he is independent and he lives in Osaka. He's a German Buddhist monk and teacher, and he has his own YouTube channel. If I can find a link, I'll put it in the description below, and if I can't, and you look in the description below and look for it and it's not there, it's because I couldn't find the link. But you can look up Muho Nulke and find some info about him. And he pointed me to his own commentary on this koan, which is in Japanese, so I don't know how many of you will enjoy it, but I'll put a link to it anyway. And what I was asking him about is what is the original Japanese phrase that is often translated as not knowing is most intimate. So I will put the Chinese characters down below, which you will see on the screen below. These are the Chinese characters. And I don't know how you would pronounce that in Chinese. In Japanese, it would be something like Fuchi Zei Motomo Shinsetsu. I don't know how you would pronounce that fourth character. But anyway, something like that. And then in Nishijima Roshi's version, he has a kind of old-style Japanese. It's probably the same Chinese phrase, but rendered in old-style Japanese. And it goes, Shirazeru wa kore motomo shinsetsu nari. And then Muho has taken this Chinese and put it into contemporary Japanese. And here is the contemporary Japanese for all you people who might know how to understand contemporary Japanese. And it goes, Shiranai koto ga motomo shinsetsu na koto de aru. And the operative word, most intimate, is in this case shinsetsu. And as Muho points out in his commentary, in contemporary Japanese, shinsetsu is usually translated as kindness. My favorite go-to online dictionary of Japanese gives it as gentle, considerate, generous, friendly, nice, shinsetsu. But in Muho's commentary, he says something like, and it's in Japanese and I'm putting it in my own English, he says something like, shinsetsu here is a little different from kindness in English. It doesn't mean being kind to people, but to be who we really are. And I think the reason it's translated as most intimate usually is because the first character in shinsetsu, and I'll put shinsetsu down below if you want to see what it is, the first character does mean intimacy. And the second character means to cut or cut off or be sharp. And I suppose maybe the character combination transformed in meaning from Chinese and then was into Japanese, and then in contemporary times maybe it changed meaning over the years, but that's probably why it's often translated as not knowing is most intimate. Now, last week I did a commentary about who was the guy? Rupert Spira. Rupert the Bear Spira. Now I always think of Rupert the Bear. And then a couple of people got PO'd at me because they're like, how can you comment on Rupert Spira when you say you don't know anything about Rupert Spira? You should know everything about Rupert Spira. You know, and I get, whenever I do this, I sometimes get apologetic when I make a comment about something that I don't know everything about, because I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know everything about this guy, as I did with Rupert Spira, and then people get all on your case about that, or all on my case about that, and I think that's weird. It's like saying you can't review the latest Spider-Man. Hello, Ziggy. Is Ziggy behind me? Where is he? Oh, he's on that side, because everything's reversed when I look at it on the monitor here. Anyway, It's like saying you can't review the latest Spider-Man movie unless you know every iteration of Spider-Man, including the Japanese Spider-Man where he fights alongside a giant robot and battles giant robots and stuff. It's ridiculous. And I was using that commentary about Rupert Spira because I was noticing something in the Neo-Advaita tradition, the way the Neo-Advaita people talk about certain things, about the nature of reality, what happens after you die, and so on and so forth. And I thought that quote, or the two quotes I used from Rupert Spira, were a good example of this. And it's something I've seen Ramesh Balsekar do a lot, and he's also in the same tradition. And I happen to know a lot about Ramesh Balsekar. I'll show you. I just brought this out to show you. After I decided I really liked Nisargadatta Maharaj, and then I found out Ramesh Balsekar was his sort of heir. It's arguable. I went on a deep dive of Ramesh Balsekar, so I read a whole bunch of Ramesh Balsekar and looked at a bunch of his videos. But it just so happened that I've been looking at Rupert Spira, and I could have dug into the pile of Ramesh Balsekar books and found a similar sort of quote, but it was easier to pull something from Rupert Spira that was similar to what Ramesh Balsekar said, because they're both from the same tradition. So anyway, I think maybe people thought I was putting down Rupert Spira, but I'm not. I actually like Rupert Spira. And thinking about this thing about not knowing is most intimate, I just happened, as I'm trying to learn a little bit more about Rupert Spira, I noticed that some of his books are available for free. I have this Kindle Unlimited thing. Well, not free, because I pay, I think, $10 a month to have Kindle Unlimited service, which I don't use as much as I probably could use. And some of his books are available as part of the Kindle Unlimited service, where you get just unlimited downloads of certain Kindle books. Not all Kindle books. It's kind of a, they limit you to certain books. Anyway, a bunch of Rupert Spira books are available. And I happen to be looking at one, and I think it has... I like Nishijima Roshi's angle on this stuff, and I like Muho's angle on this stuff, which I think is kind of similar to Nishijima Roshi's, but I like something that Rupert Spira said, which I think sheds a different light on it. But wait a minute, I got ahead of myself. I want to tell you a little more of something that Muho said about it before I go into Rupert Spira. So sorry, just forget all that I said, and I'm going to go back and say this stuff about Muho. Anyway, Muho, one of the things Muho said about this, and this is also my translation of something he said in Japanese about that not knowing his most intimate thing. He said, a person who intends to understand life probably actually understands nothing. This is because life is living, not understanding. Living life is walking step by step. He's referring kind of to the pilgrimage thing. That's the theme of this koan. There is no aim or destination. There is no knowing. So that's something else I wanted to bring out from what Muho said, and I think that's kind of similar to the angle that Nishijima Roshi is talking about, and that's, I think, a really great way of understanding this not knowing is most intimate thing. But I think there's this other way that I gleaned from looking at Rupert Spira, and I want to kind of go into that for the rest of this video. So let's talk about that. So in this, now I'm looking at this on Kindle, so it sort of ruins the point that Rupert Spira is trying to make, because you're supposed to be reading this in a book. He's talking about words. When we return to the words, he's talking about words printed on paper. When we return to the words, having noticed the paper, do we lose sight of the paper? He's talking about, notice the paper that these words are printed on. Do we now not see the apparent two simultaneously as one? And did we not always already experience them as one without realizing it? Of course, he's British, so he spells realizing wrong. Likewise, having noticed the awareness behind and within each experience, do we lose sight of that awareness when we return the focus of our attention to the objective aspect of experience? Do we not now see the apparent two, awareness and its object, simultaneously as one? And has it not always been so? Do the words themselves affect the paper? Does it matter to the paper what is said in the words? Does the content of each experience affect the awareness in which it appears? Every word on this page is in fact only made of paper. It only expresses the nature of the paper, although it may describe the moon. Every experience only expresses awareness or consciousness, although experience itself is infinitely varied. Awareness or consciousness is the open unknowingness. See, that not knowing is where I'm going to get into this, on which every experience is written. It is so obvious that it is not noticed. It is so close that it cannot be known as an object, and yet it is always known. It is so intimate that every experience, however tiny or vast, is utterly saturated and permeated with its presence. It is so loving that all things possible to imagine are contained unconditionally within it. It is so open that it receives all things into itself. It is so spacious and unlimited that everything is contained within it. It is so present that every single experience is vibrating with its substance. It is only this open unknowingness, the source, the substance and destiny of all experience, that is indicated here over and over and over again. And indicated here that's the intro to his book, and he's trying to say indicated here in this book. But anyway, not knowing is most intimate. So I was thinking about not knowing is most intimate when I ran across that passage in the Rupert Spira book, and it got me thinking, not knowing is most intimate. So the not knowing, if we take the metaphor that Rupert Spira is using here, the not knowing is the paper on which the words are printed. So let's extend that metaphor. The paper is the unknowing, is the not knowing on which all of our experience is printed. So not knowing is the background of all of our experience, of everything that we experience. Not knowing is the most intimate background of every experience. So unknowing is there in every experience. In the most amazing experience you ever had, in the most boring experience you ever had, in the experience of me cutting my thumb on the guitar, in the, which is a painful experience, an experience I notice, or in the experience of me watering the lawn this morning, which was so boring I barely noticed it at all. In any experience, whatever it is, there is this background of unknowing which sits there happening and being the experience, out of which the experience is generated, and in which the experience sort of imprints itself. It's so hard to describe that I can't give it any words, but it's always there. Even in deepest dreamless sleep, it's still there. Is that, and maybe in death, it's still there. Who knows? But it's always there. Everything is made out of this unknowingness. So when the master says to Hogan, when the master says to Hogan, not knowing is most intimate, not infamous, is most intimate or infamous, he's saying that the most intimate thing is that not knowing, is that unknowing, the unknowingness, the fushiru, the unknowingness that underlies all things. I think that's another aspect of what he's saying, and I'm kind of interesting to put that together. And it's kind of interesting the way life goes, the way I happen to be thinking about doing a video about not knowing is most intimate, and just happen to run across this quote from Rupert Spira that puts it all together. I think life is kind of interesting that way. Don't you? I do. Anyway, that's it. Where did Ziggy go? Oh, there he is. He's right there. He's right down. Well, oh, there he is. See him? He's been sitting right next to me the whole time. All right. He's so cute. He was sitting, it's been kind of cold lately, and this morning he was sitting right next to me, like drawing all the warmth out of my leg or something. I don't know. But he was like sitting next to me, getting all warm off me. So, if you want to help me buy dog food for Ziggy and other things, you can go to the URL that you're seeing on the screen below, which is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. As I said, that is the main source of my income. That's how I buy Ziggy dog food, and that's how I buy me and my wife human food. And I really appreciate your support. But as always, this is offered for free, so you don't got to support me if you don't want to support me. We will see you next time. Have a good time all the time. Laters. Bye. Hey, Ziggy, you want to go and edit the video now? We'll go inside and edit the video, okay? All right. Let's go do that.